have to connect the two centers of our second and seventh biggest cities in Quebec, which are Quebec and Lévis. We have to have this connection between downtown Quebec and downtown Lévis so that people who's going to come here, because we have, as you know, this project with my colleagues Bernard Drainville and Jonathan Julien, they are working on what we call this new metropolitan economic zone on which we are working. So we have integrated economies, development, and we have to have this structure of public transit, which is efficient, attractive, so that we can compete with other big cities, including Montreal. If we want to attract new students, new people, new people coming from abroad, new businesses, new big events, we have to be attractive and modern.
Eric Duhem yesterday accused the government of trahison, betraying the people by promising this during the election campaign. Were you aware as the campaign unfolded? I was on the CAQ bus every day. Was the government aware that the car tunnel was a no-go during the election campaign?
No, of course not. We would have said it if we were. I was not the Minister for Transportation at this time, but the Prime Minister was asked the same question over and over again every day, and always the same answer. We are working for the new data on which we are gonna reflect and have this, how do you say, mise à jour? Update, of course.
Updating the statistics.
Yes, because we took the engagement of having an update every year. So this year we are having it right now with this new data.
Kelly Craig, CTV News.
Good morning. In your document, it says this project's for the next 100 years. But when you have this update, you only look at the last 3 years. You ignore everything that's before the pandemic. How are you certain that the trends of the pandemic, like work from home, are still going to be here in 5, 10, 50 years?
We don't know. It's why I said we have what we call enquête origine-destination, which is an investigation on every movement of people in our main centers in the whole province of Quebec. And so we are going to look at it in 5 years. It is every 5 years. We have one this year, and we're going to be having another one in 2028. So we're going to look at it. And if there is a need for having another link for cars, we are eventually are going to have to build another one in some decades because the Pont Pierre-Laporte will not be eternal. But now, with those data, with this data, there is not a necessity of having a new bridge for cars. But public transit is different. We have to have an offer of public transit that is going to convince people from both shores to give up their cars and use public transportation. They never had it here. We only have buses here.
But, I mean, so you only want to build a tunnel once, considering the scope of the project. So in 5 years' time, could you maybe say, oh, turns out we do need a car tunnel? Could that change?
We are going to look at the data then. So I will probably not be the minister, but this is not a fatality. This is how we develop all of our network, netscape, le réseau routier? Network. All over the nation of Quebec. We are looking at what is needed, and so we extend the network, we repair it, this is how it works.
Il nous reste 2 médias. Dan Spector, Global News.
Can you just describe a little bit of the difficulty inside the government and I guess the disagreement before coming to this announcement today?
Well, like I said, this is a very difficult decision because this is not what we thought would happen. We didn't know there was going to be a pandemic when we arrived in 2018. And during the pandemic, we didn't know what kind of changes this pandemic would bring in the lives of Quebecers. But the responsible and lucid decision to make today based upon the data that I just gave to you is the one that I am announcing now. There is no need for a new tunnel for cars, but we need to connect Lévis and Quebec in the center of the cities. And so we are going to have a tunnel that is dedicated to public transit, modern, efficient, that is hopefully going to convince once and for all people to give up their cars and use public transit, as any other big city.
How do you manage the members of your government who disagreed with this and who are still disappointed to this moment?
We are getting through this together. We made the decision together. Of course, there are some people who are more deceived than others because of the writings that they represent, but we decided it together. We are all confronted to the same data. We have to look at this and make the responsible and pragmatic decision that we made. So this is hard, but once we will have gotten through this, we believe in this project of having modern and efficient public transit for people from Capitale Nationale and Chaudière-Appalaches who never had that.
Emily Warren, CBC News.
Hi, we spoke to multiple people in Lévis or in the Chaudière-Appalaches who say you let them down and you disappointed them by not keeping your promises. And I'm curious, what is your response to your citizens who are disappointed in this today?
I understand them, like I said earlier in French, as I understand my colleagues who are disappointed today. And I'm sure you're going to ask them directly today. They are all here. And they are probably going to tell you that they're disappointed. But we have to be together in this. And so we share this decision, even though it makes us deceived or sad in some cases. But this is the right decision to make because of the reality of the way that people move from one shore to another after a pandemic.
And yesterday, the opposition party for the city of Quebec was saying, is it still worth it really to build a tunnel with all the costs associated to that versus maybe just adding a tramway on the bridge or investing more in the ferry, because the ferry has had so many breakdowns and it's not always running really efficiently. So is it really worth building a tunnel versus investing more in a ferry or finding out other alternatives?
We need a connection in the center of the cities. So bridges now are the western part. We have to have something in the middle, and we have to have a tunnel in which anything is possible. Not necessarily a tramway or buses, so everything is possible. And the nature of public transit is that it's build it and they will come. So you have to have a reasonable, attractive offer of public transits so that you can convince people to use it.